In the bottom right corner, we have Ganzi from Team Complexity. Ganzi, the Red Terran, seeking to break the tie with Sen, but Sen won 2-0, which means if Ganzi wins today, if Ganzi wins this game, he will be completely tied with Sen. Again, because Ganzi was up by 1 point. Now Sen won 2-0, Ganzi wins 2-1, they'll be tied again. So very interesting that Sen broke the tie. Now Ganzi, if he wins, he breaks the tie. But if he loses, all of a sudden he falls down much deeper than he initially anticipated against this player, MaNa from Mouse UC.
You just broke my brain.
I'm just giving out the importance of why this game matters.
Oh, you're whipping out knowledge bombs. I like it, Frodan. I like it.
Okay.
So
I like it too.
You really have to do that.
Sorry, man. Why don't you go ahead and break down what's going on in the game right now?
Probes mining.
And
Probes
scouting.
being made.
And pros are getting scouted.
SCVs mining. SCVs being made. Is that all?
No.
Marines being
We see a barracks finishing up. Now Ganzi didn't get gas, and MaNa scouts this. Now Antiga Shipyard is forced cross spawns, diagonal spawns. And MaNa knows that Ganzi likes to play macro, at least in terms of early macro. MaNa has a couple options. He's getting his Geyser and his Cybernetics core now. A really strong response to Gas's fast expands are usually 1 gate into pressure. That's exactly what MaNa tried to do. He went for 4 gate pressure. Had a weird base trade scenario. But more and more we've been seeing Protoss.
Even the 4 gate pressure, it has some sort of economy behind it. You can't just, well, you can, but it is very risky to do just 4 gate pressure off of 1 base. That's why normally you get a fast expansion. Why this build is so important is because he's getting 2 gas, which gives him a ton of options. It could be something like Rotterdam, ready? Void Rays. Could be Dark Templars, could be Blink Stalkers, could be Colossus, it could be Colossus Drop, it could be Immortals, it could be 4 gate.
You're just naming to every single build you lost to today on ladder.
No, man, I don't lose to those things.
We see a Twilight Council.
You know, those are all the different options that can happen, and the Twilight Council actually gives them the ability to go to either Dark Shrine or Blink Stalkers. Those are the 2 main variations.
Or the sickest High Templar Storm Rush you've ever seen.
It's like, I know 111 is coming. Let me get High Templars. I'll feed back everything.
So
I've done that before. No joke. I've done that before on ladder. Back in the beta. It was awesome.
We see Ganzi going for 3 more barracks in addition to a total of 4. Now, as a result, Ganzi is just going to get a lot of bio. Very, very common transition. No doubt double gassing imminently. And we see Blink is the order of choice. Now, this is pretty good because a couple things. I don't like Dark Templars against gasless expand because it gets a command center really quick. And normally they can compile energy pretty easily. And you have 2 command centers to worry about. A lot earlier so that they can get scans. Second thing is Blink is really good because Naked Marines are very bad against Stalkers when they get to like the 8-9 count. Stalkers become very devastating. Now put Stalkers with Blink and you have a really nasty combination. MaNa getting a robotics facility also for the Observer. And so this all in from MaNa can be very devastating or it can fall flat on its face, but Antiga Shipyard has lots of wiggle room, especially to dart in and out. So pay attention to how MaNa moves his units.
Oh, MaNa, be careful. I thought the Marines were actually going to surround, but it looks like the Stalker will get out with perfect amount of HP. 2 shields left. If he took 1 more, he would have internal structure damage or health damage. And obviously that would not be aesthetically pleasing. MaNa!
Ooh.
Dang it.
Takes a little bit of damage, but he's luring the Marines away from this pylon. And that's the big thing. Blink is about to finish. Few more Stalkers now rejoining this, and MaNa's completely okay. He actually wants to kind of engage here in a favorable spot, because if the Marines ever retreat, he can blink and ahead of them and catch them. MaNa just has to be really cautious with his control. He's taking a lot of damage on the Stalkers, more than he needs to. And with this many Stalkers, Ganzi's also going to find that his opponent didn't expand, and this should be a huge indicator to him about what MaNa's up to with the blink. And he says, okay, his opponent's going for a blink all in.
Yeah, this is beautiful. All these Marines are going to be nom-nom, eaten up. So delicious. And look at that, the last Marine gets taken out there. Still is a lot of Stalkers here. He's going to meet up with his opponent. And it looks like it's, I mean, he's been able to tech. I love this bunker placement. This is like the clutch
So
bunker
smart.
placement that you need. Another thing I would like him to have is actually like a supply depot right here. Probably just to see in the site over there.
Yeah, but at the same time, Ganzi, his biggest priority is because even if the stalkers do get into the shrouded area, stalkers can't see it either. Ganzi's evacuating his natural. Very key play indeed. MaNa's going to try to hold his front on 2 different spots.
Can he get it?
And this orbital command is dropping pretty low, but a lot of stalkers are taking damage from the SCVs, not really being micro back, but MaNa's just trying to bait it for now to absorb as much damage as possible. Has the observer so he can pick off units there. He blinks forward. MaNa going for it. It looks like Ganzi's going to try to see if he can send his SCVs to try to trap the remainder of the units, pulling everything from the bunkers. Marauders are about to come out, which will help a lot. MaNa does blink away and does save some of his units.
Beautiful scan, by the way. Taking out the observer is one of the most critical things that you have to do. It forces MaNa to remake another observer. That is theoretically another stalker, 1.5 stalkers, because of the amount of gas it takes, and you really want that stalker count to be up as high as possible.
MaNa blinking backwards, really trying to salvage his stalkers. Pretty decent control here. He really trying to just trade some damage with shields, which is always a great thing. Ganzi not sure where his opponent is lurking next. Really trying to make sure not get caught off guard. The big thing is that Ganzi does have 2 command centers, so he can keep SCV production high up. MaNa is setting up an expansion, so in the end, he doesn't want to completely commit his units. Otherwise, he's going to be completely defenseless. He's also getting charge.
Yeah, I like the charge because it allows you to actually defend against incoming pushes pretty effectively while staying on gateway tech. You don't have that need to you know, tech to High Templars or tech to something like Colossus or even Immortals for some cases. The main reason for that is because you can keep up. You have the mass units. They can get and connect with your opponent when they're kiting. So, you know, you're in a great position. I think that's actually one of the most intelligent moves that he could do.
And we see that MaNa is just really interested in keeping Ganzi from mining at natural or feel comfortable enough to move down just until his expansion is up and running. His probes are already there, and from this point, MaNa can fall back because we see that Ganzi's teching, and there's no real entry point for MaNa whatsoever. In fact, the turret is a huge disincentive from the move back. MaNa, you can see that the command center is moving towards him as well. He's going to just barely get out of there.
Yeah, well done. Ooh, 1 stalker. He needs to blink. There he is.
Yeah, pretty good job.
Now, I do want to say there's a ton of mules on this main, and look at that, already 1 mineral patch mined out, and these 2 are running really low. So Ganzi is going to move from 1 base economy to 1 base economy, whereas MaNa, look at his main. It's still flourishing. He has all 8 patches. He's ready to go. That's going to give him the advantage. So that's one of the big problems with mining out on the same area. You don't want to do that. You actually want to spread out all your mules as best as possible, or else you will be, you know, encountering some sort of, you know, 1 base progression, which is obviously really crappy.
Thinly veiled advertising for mining out as well.
I knew you were going to go there.
Well, I mean, you're like, and it's a real trouble for mining out. And I'm like, wow, not so subtle, Gretorp.
No,
That's a new meme. Posted on Reddit, not so subtle, Gretorp. I'm just teasing, Andre. I know what you mean. We see the stalkers blinking in and picking off some things. Very nice control from MaNa. And he's going to pick out the factory as well, which is always nice. You see Ganzi try to get scouting information with that factory, but not going to be able to do anything.
Frodan putting words in my mouth. So BM. So BM. Let's see how good MaNa's micro is against this many Marauders. I don't think he can.
Not
don't think
not
so.
the best stalker micro in the world could go up against that many Marauders. But you can see that during this whole time, MaNa's been preparing an incredible amount of units back at home with Zealots and High Templars readying up Storm. Now, Ganzi has just been macroing off pure raw units. He doesn't even have his first medevacs out to the field. And so he's just got an intimidating force that MaNa can't really attack into. Look at how aggressive MaNa is being.
Yeah, he's trying his best before medevacs actually pop out and are really relevant. But oh my god, stalkers, I fear for their life, but they will get out in time. So well done over there. I do want to say really quick that the upgrade advantage is going to go very heavily towards Ganzi. He's sitting at 1-1. So what MaNa wants to do is actually have these defensive storms. he doesn't want to actually meet in the middle of the map because obviously there's a lot of room to move around. So it's very important that he actually stays defensive, make sure, you know, he can receive his opponent's army very efficiently. That being said, I think his normal progression is to take a third expansion rather than going for some sort of aggression.
Yeah, and Ganzi is... Let's see, ooh. Oh, he's going for a third command center. You know, during this whole time, I thought Ganzi would try to see if he can pick his opponent apart. Ganzi loves aggression. Every Korean player that I ask about Ganzi, he's so aggressive, and they always say that with like an annoyance kind of tone. They're like, man, he's so aggressive. Like, they hate the fact that Ganzi likes to be everywhere. But that's more of his TVZ style, and to a degree TVP as well. You can see he likes to go for timing, not necessarily try to sit back in macro. And I think Ganzi is doing a good job here controlling the center. His stim is really delayed. You know, 16.5 minute stim time. Pretty sick.
Oh, yeah. That is pretty bad.
But no, that's why I think MaNa was
okay.
confused initially because the Mirage were running from the center of the map. And Ganzi trying to use the factory to bait the units. Yeah, stim's still not done. And MaNa's like, why hasn't he stimmed this entire game?
By the way, I think MaNa's just doing a huge 1-1 timing.
Oh, he can fight back. The Medivacs
oh my
a
God.
storm instead.
Oh, beautiful
and a lot
storms.
of units get trapped inside the storm. Ganzi doesn't have stim to run away. Medivacs unload in the main, though. Ganzi more than willing to sack his units outside of it if he can go for anything. Stim just finishing. But the big story is that the units are out of position. Ganzi can pick off a lot of these gateways and pylons. Just make sure to need to hit the eject button at the right time.
Yep, and he needs to be careful because remember, those are Blink Stalkers, so these units can't get out. High Templars are going to feed back all of the Medivacs. These units are gone. Beautifully played by MaNa. He'll clean up everything. Can he get the Blink? Yeah, yes, he gets it.
He gets both of them, which means there are no Medivacs out left for Ganzi except for the ones that just popped out. And that is huge. We've been seeing a lot of Protoss targeting down the Medivacs, making sure to cripple the ability for Terran to deal with Colossus switches, which is absolutely monumental, especially as MaNa's expanding to his third base.
And I think Ganzi's in so much trouble because there's only one move from here. When you kill that many units and the Medivacs, you always do a continuation push in this situation. And Ganzi taking third base, this is a little off-timed. He hasn't been able to get the production line to deal with this. And that's a problem. High Templars are still a problem. Army tab, let's look at that really quick. Advantage for MaNa. So he's looking all around much better than his opponent. Look at this, the third is actually gonna have to be evacuated. Counter drop is coming over here though. Can MaNa be able to clean this up? Not sure.
We see the Marines and Marauders doing a really good job. Now, if he targets down some really key buildings, he can really shut down to push out the natural. Ganzi trying to buy time with his barracks. You can see he doesn't have his ghosts out for EMPs. He has his Ghost Academy finished, but it's at the natural and doesn't really have time to buy. The High Templars are ready to storm whenever he can. Ganzi bunching up at the ramp, has to be extremely cautious. If for some reason MaNa's able to get a force field down, instantaneous storm, but the drop in the main still doing incredible amounts of damage. As Ganzi is cleaning up a lot of production abilities, MaNa knows the time is taking a storm on the units at the top of the ramp. The Zealot's trying to get into the engagement as well. Storm's pushing back the units, and Ganzi's still holding very nicely. The storms are not connecting. MaNa's missing them, and he's running his units straight up the ramp, trying to deal with anything.
My gosh.
Ganzi is able to snipe a lot of units as well. The main drop is still going, cleaning up the entire base, Andre.
I think, my God, Ganzi, with sheer aggression and great positioning, is going to be able to take this game. Absolutely phenomenal play coming in from him. And look at that, 2 nice storms, but it's not going to be enough. Great split is able to actually get rid of all these Zealots. It's going to be GG. I can't see it. GG!
Ganzi takes game number 3. Dongju Kim wins 2-1, tying his record with Sen in a phenomenal series of events. Being able to control at the main and being able to have patience, knowing to evacuate the third, protecting the ramp, avoiding the storms, doing it without ghosts against Zealot Archon with upgrades and storm. You gotta be kidding me. This is great play from Ganzi, a well-deserved win.
He had no economy. His main was mined out. His natural and third were lifted. They couldn't do anything. So it's such a shame, but man, if he just defended against that drop, obviously he's in a big advantage there. But my God, Ganzi just did the perfect decisions to lead to that win. I felt like it was in MaNa's fingertips. He could feel it. He could feel the win, and then just slipped away from him, and Ganzi took it. He stole it from him.
Ganzi snatching one from the depths of the earth, being able to summon a huge win all thanks to the power of GameMinder. GameMinder, the smartphone application that reminds you about NASL broadcasts. I'm not ashamed to plug it. Check them out at analabra.com. Guys, we're going to do a daily recap as well as predictions and a couple announcements as well as reminders. Speaking of GameMinder. So don't go anywhere. We're about to finish up the day here at Week 7 Division 3 here at NASL Season 3.